What if a country produces world-class female talent and then designs a tax system that incentivizes women to waste it? There were instances in southern part where women got hired, bosses made them sign an undated resignation letter. If a German mother puts her child in a daycare to work full-time, she might be called Rabenmutter, a raven mother. Meanwhile, nobody has ever invented a word for a father who does the same thing. In the previous video, we traveled through South Africa, Brazil, Mexico, China, and Japan. Every region, same pattern. Women graduate, women get blocked. If you are interested, I mentioned the previous video here and the full playlist in the description. Now we turn to the wealthy West. You would expect the US and Europe to be the good guys in this story. The data shows a different perspective. Have you ever wondered why the rich countries don't always have the most women in STEM? This is a paradox called gender equality paradox. Wealthier societies often have fewer women in STEM than the developing ones. In rich countries, women feel less economic pressure. They choose fields they enjoy the most: humanities, social sciences, law, which is not bad. Every individual should be free to choose what they want to study and do. The problem appears when we look at the overall picture. In developing nations, STEM is a survival strategy. How? We will discuss this when we talk about the developing nations. In the USA, UK, and France, the gap between women graduating and women working is small, about 4 to 8 points. That is very good. Women are present in management. Strong anti-discrimination laws did help. But the motherhood penalty hits everywhere. In the USA, no federal paid maternity leaves exist. Women exit the workforce mid-career. In the UK, childcare costs are so high that for many mothers, going to work costs more than staying home. France does it better. Heavy investment in childcare and maternity support. That's why France outperforms the USA and UK on long-time retention of women in the workforce. The paradox in the West is wealth gives women the freedom to choose, but the system still penalizes them for choosing motherhood. What if a country produces world-class female talent and then designs a tax system that incentivizes women to waste it? Germany. 53% of university graduates are women. Women dominate in law. 60% of law students are women. They study hard, they graduate, they are brilliant, and then they disappear. Why? The tax system. Germany has something called Ehegattensplitting, spousal income splitting. Here is how it works. If a wife earns less than her husband, her income gets taxed at a much higher rate because the tax is calculated on the combined income, which means a higher tax bracket, which eventually makes it almost no financial sense for her to work full-time. So after having children, brilliant female lawyers and economists shift to part-time mini-jobs, jobs for which they are overqualified. The tax structure literally subsidizes the non-working spouse. It incentivizes women to stay home. Think about that. A country that produces world-class female talent and then designs a tax code that punishes them for using their own talent. In 2026, this system is facing an intense political scrutiny. Reform is coming, but the damage is decades old. If a German mother puts her child in a daycare to work full-time, she might be called Rabenmutter, a raven mother. The myth is that ravens push their chicks out of the nest. It is a slur used to shame ambitious mothers.
So we have this expression in Germany, the Rabenmutter, which is raven mother. That's supposed to be a very bad mother.
So a mother is called a raven mother for putting her kid in daycare to go to work. Meanwhile, nobody has ever invented a word for a father who does the same thing every time. Funny how that works. These are the reasons why the women workforce participation gap in Germany is relatively high, 11%. Even Angela Merkel, who led Germany for 16 years, admitted that the country has far to go. She said, "I hope it becomes natural for women and men to split up the work, raising the children and doing the household equality. And I hope it is not going to take another 100 years to get there. Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission and a mother of 7 children, put it more directly. She said,
There is no such thing as jobs for men and jobs for women.
the lesson here, laws can open doors, but a tax code can quietly close them again. What if you graduated top of your class and your employer made you sign your own resignation letter before you even start the job? Italy. Italian women are academic powerhouses. They graduate at higher rates than men. About 58% of all graduates are women. In STEM, they outperform women fraction in Germany and the Netherlands. In Italy, women graduates are more than men, but the women workforce participation is also high, 12%. Italy is what I call the paradox of excellence. Why? Because Italy is a gerontocracy, a society ruled by the old. The labor market is rigid and childcare almost non-existent in the south. Italy spends 0.1% of GDP on childcare. France spends 0.6. That gap looks small, but it is enormous. It forces women to stay home, to care for the children, to care for the elders. Mario Draghi, the former prime minister, did not mince his words. He said, whoever pays women less is acting against the constitution. He said Italy is too far behind in gender equality. And there is the dark practice called Dimissioni in Bianco, blank resignations. There were instances in southern part where women got hired. Bosses made them sign an undated resignation letter. If she ever gets pregnant, the boss would write in today's date and boom, she resigned voluntarily. It is illegal, but it happens. To support expected mothers, the government pushes cash initiatives, bonus mama, small monthly payments. But these are just painkillers. They do not fix the root problem. Italy's lesson, you can produce a gold mine of female talent, but if you refuse to build nurseries, you will waste every ounce of it. What happens when a country suddenly has no choice but to let women do everything? Russia. Russia has one of the highest conversion rates in the data. The gap is just 5%. Why? Necessity. The war has pulled so many men out of the workforce that the country needs women to fill the gap. By 2030, Russia will face a deficit of 2.4 million workers. Women are driving trucks, working in factories, doing IT. It is not because of feminism, it is survival. But it proves something that should settle the debate. When push comes to shove, women can do men's job just fine. Women own 42% of small businesses. They lead in self-employed sector. But this is also true that the Russian women too carry the double burden. Two cultural archetypes pull them in opposite directions. One on the conservative side, there is Bereginia, the traditional Slavic figure, the mother of all beings, the home protector. And other on the progressive side, there is kitchen slavery, a term from Lenin. He called out housework slavery and pushed women into factories with the slogan, "Down with kitchen slavery." The result, Russian women work full-time jobs and do almost all the domestic work. Irrespective of this, the wage gap for women is still as high as 28%. And the legal protection, Russia's safety score is 0. 0. The country has no comprehensive domestic violence law. In 2017, Russia actually decriminalized some forms of domestic violence. Women are filling the void left by the war, but the law offers them no protection from violence at home. Russia's lesson. A war proved women can do any job. It just took a crisis for the country to admit it. And the country is still not willing to protect them. Now, we go to South Asia and the Middle East, the regions where the gap between women education and women job opportunity is the most extreme on earth. India trains brilliant scientists and treats their degrees as marriage dowries. Pakistan trains doctors and tells them to stay home. Iran has the most educated female population in the region and locks them down by the law. And then there is Afghanistan, where the score is almost 0. If you are still here, You did not simply assume that the wealthy West had it figured out, which most people believe. Germany calls a working mother Rabenmutter, but there is no word for a father who does the same thing every day. I want to know, does your language have a word that shames mother for working but has no male equivalent? Share it below because language tells us more about a culture than any law ever could. This was the third part of this 5-part series. See you in the next one.